Hey everyone, tonight we're going to step into the sand-caked boots of an Iranian soldier in the Middle East. I'm not talking about some news headline or second-hand talimeen. You're going to be there. You're going to feel the grit in your teeth, the burn on your skin, and the way the silence before gunfire rings louder than any explosion. It's not glamorous, it's not heroic, and you probably won't survive statistically speaking. But you will feel alive in the most bizarre, backwards, and maybe even beautiful way possible. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you really like what I do here. And drop a comment with your location and local time. I always love seeing where you're tuning in from. Now, turn off the lights, maybe turn on the fan for some soothing noise, and let's get started tonight. The morning doesn't start with a rooster crowing or a call to prayer echoing romantically through the valley. No, it starts with an explosion. Distant, but deep, a dull thump that travels through the earth before it hits your ears. My eyes snap open like they've been yanked by puppet strings. The room smells like foot sweat, gun oil, and instant noodles. We're packed in tight of us in a barracks that should probably house 6. A ceiling fan wobbles dangerously overhead, threatening to abandon its post and become a projectile any minute now. I sit up and rub my face, trying to remember if I even dreamed. Probably not. My dreams lately have been all static and desert, and my mom's voice asking if I'm eating enough. Ali. My bunkmate rolls over with a groan. They're early today, he mutters, not even opening his eyes. They're always early, I reply, fishing under my pillow for my socks. They smell like the 1980s still, better than sandals and blisters. The water in the base shower taps is already lukewarm, which is generous. Sometimes we don't get water at all, and once we had to take turns using leftover tea to scrub the grime off our faces. Fun fact, tea does not help acne. We get dressed in standard issue fatigues, pale green and khaki, the color of don't shoot me, I'm just following orders. My boots are tight, toes chewed from miles of gravel, but they still feel like armor. There's a strange confidence in them. Outside, the air is thick with heat and something else, burnt, rubber, diesel. Maybe it's just stress turned into a smell. Breakfast is served under a corrugated tin roof, where a few flies have taken up permanent residence. We get a boiled egg each, a small round of flatbread that's more like a warm coaster, and a metal mug of tea that tastes faintly of rust and cigarette ash. No one complains. Complaints here are as useless as sunscreen in a sandstorm. Across the table, Reza is sketching something into the dust on the table, some sort of cartoon camel with sunglasses. I call him Commander Hump, he says, grinning. Commanders don't smile, Ollie replies deadpan. Well, this one does. He just stepped in a minefield of BS reports, and now he's reconsidering his career. We laugh. It's not actually funny, but out here, anything that isn't screaming or orders gets bonus points. A corporal comes out of the comms shack with a clipboard, and that looked like someone just told him his favorite soccer team got banned for tax evasion. Patrol assignment. He goes down the line, pointing like a reluctant game show host. Lucky me I'm picked. Ali too. Reza doesn't get picked, and he mimes a fainting gesture, like he's just been chosen for a spa weekend. Instead, our route, the main road to Halema, a small village that's changed hands more times than I've changed socks this week, and that's saying something. I check my gear, rifle, spare mags, field dressing, water bottle, lucky keychain my niece gave me shaped like a pink dinosaur. I don't believe in luck, but I believe in my niece. Close enough. We load up into a dusty Humvee that looks like it survived the Iran-Iraq war and kept the PTSD. As we rumble out the gate, the base slowly shrinks behind us into a dusty, tan smudge. Ahead, just heat and silence. The guy across from me starts humming an old Farsi pop song under his breath. Off-key, but kind of beautiful. I ask him where he's from. He says Isfahan. I tell him I once spent 2 days there and fell in love with a girl who sold saffron in the bazaar. Total lie, but it gets a chuckle. The desert flashes by outside beige, endless, dotted with thorn bushes and the occasional rusting tank carcass. Somewhere out there are goats, smugly surviving with zero technology. Did you know Cleopatra used crocodile poop as sunscreen? Ollie blurts out, completely off topic. We all stare at him. It's true. He insists. Historical fact. Crocodile dung and sour milk. You're saying she didn't die from the Aspie bite. She died from her skincare routine. More laughter. Even the guy with the sniper scar cracks a grin. It's a weird ritual morning jokes, before the midday sweat, before the shouting and the waiting, and the maybe dying. We joke like we're not afraid, like we're actors playing brave men, and maybe if we do it long enough, it'll feel real. The vehicle slows as we reach the first way marker, bent sign half swallowed by sand. Probably once saying welcome, in 3 languages. Ali elbows me. Guess what time it is? What? He squints at the sun. Too early to die, too late to be in bed. The Humvee stops. We step out, boots crunching onto gravel so hot it practically breathes heat. The village is still far off, but we'll be walking from here. Some roads aren't meant for wheels anymore. I sling my rifle, my shoulders already ache. The sky is empty and too bright. I feel the dry wind whistle past, full of whispers that don't belong to us. Let's march. The road stretches ahead, like some cruel joke carved into the sand straight, shimmering and empty. We've barely been walking for 20 minutes, and I'm already regretting every decision that led me here, including the breakfast egg. My stomach's staging a protest, and it's gaining momentum. Reza walks next to me, swinging his rifle like it's a walking stick. You ever think about how dumb it is we have to wear this much gear in a desert? It's like wearing a winter coat in a sauna, I mutter. Except the sauna sometimes shoots at you. The sun pounds down like it's being paid by the strike, and the air tastes like burnt copper. I can feel the sweat forming rivers under my armor. I adjust the strap on my helmet, which, fun fact, has a dent from last month when it fell off the barracks shelf and bounced off my head. I saw stars. The guys called me Captain Coma for a week. Today's route follows a contested stretch of road near Halameh, a half-farming, half-haunted village that swapped hands more often than a fake Rolex in a bazaar. There are rumors that it's now under militia control. There are also rumors that it's full of ghosts. We take both seriously. Our lieutenant, a wiry man named Dariush, who looks like he drinks vinegar for fun, briefs us while chewing a piece of paper-thin gum. That's been through more rechus than I can count. We go in, we check water wells, radio tower, and the West Mosque. No funny business. And if you see children eyes up, hands off, they carry messages. Someone snickers. I thought the pigeons did that. Pigeons don't throw grenades. Genius. We keep walking. The terrain changes, subtly fewer rocks, more fine dust that kicks up and sticks to your eyelids. Someone coughs. Someone else hums. Every so often we pause, drop to one knee, check the ridges. It's almost like choreography. The politics are everywhere, Ivan. The dirt seems to choose sides. Some patches are cleared of mines, some aren't. You just have to feel it. Our unit jokes that the best training is just watching who the stray dogs avoid. Dariush slows his pace and leans toward me. Keep an eye on Reza, he's too relaxed. I nod. Reza's probably the most likable guy in the unit, which means statistically he's also the most likely to get killed. War loves irony. We get closer to Halameh. The world changes. Trash piles appear, rusted cans, half-burnt tires, the skeleton of what used to be a bicycle. Then the graffiti starts, spray paint in both Farsi and Arabic, overlapping like arguments on a bathroom wall. I can't read half of it. The other half is mostly curses. One tag reads, "God listens, but doesn't reply." We pass a wrecked truck half buried in sand. Its doors hang open like arms giving up. A goat skull lies nearby. Reza points at it. Even the goat gave up. Maybe it had a better sense of direction than us. I say. We reach the first check-in point. An old irrigation pipe, broken and coiled like a metal snake. There's a slight rise ahead, a place known as Whisper Hill, because radio signals die there for no reason. Some say it's the minerals in the rock. Others say it's the gin. Get down. Someone hisses. We drop instantly, like puppets with cut strings. Something moved on the ridge. It was fast. Too fast for a goat. Too low for a bird. Everyone's breathing changes. Could be a scout. Dariush mutters. Could be our imagination, I whisper. He doesn't answer. No one laughs. Then over the radio. Command to Alpha. Patrol. Status check. We freeze. Radios should be silent unless there's reason. Dariush responds with code echo to progressing. Visual anomaly, North Ridge. No reply. He curses under his breath. Switches to a backup channel. Tries again. Nothing. The silence doesn't feel empty, it feels occupied. Reza adjusts his scope. Nothing moving now. We press on. Slower now. eyes glued to shadows and ridges. My mouth is dry, but I'm too nervous to drink. Behind me, I hear Farhad muttering what sounds like a prayer. He's the one who always carries a pocket Quran and a piece of carpet the size of a postcard. Says it reminds him of home. Did you know Napoleon once tried to train camels for battle? Reza whispers. What? Yeah, didn't work. They hated drums. Reza, if I die today, I want my eulogy to be entirely about your camel facts. He grins. We reach the edge of the village well. The remains of it. Mud brick homes slump like they're exhausted. A few have collapsed completely, revealing clay ovens, crumbling mattresses, and the occasional glitter of something metal, glass. Memory. The patrol slows. We fan out. I take left, sweeping my rifle like a metal detector tuned to paranoia. The first sign of life is not a person. It's a chicken. A very angry-looking chicken that struts across the road like it owns the village. Then, from one of the shaded doorways, an old woman steps out. She wears a loose chador that's faded to a dusky gray and carries a plastic bag with something flat inside. She doesn't speak, just walks slowly toward us and extends the bag. Everyone's on edge. No one wants to make the first move. It could be bread. It could be plastic explosives. Dariush raises a hand. Stop. She stops. He approaches slowly, like she's a bear and he's a park ranger with bad insurance. She opens the bag. Flatbread. Just bread. He lowers his rifle slightly. She points toward a bomb crater a few meters away. No words, just that small gesture. Then she turns and walks back inside like we're nothing more than shadows passing by. Water wells that way, Dariush says finally. As we move toward it, I glance back at the crater. There's a child's sandal lying in the dust beside it. No blood, no body. Just a pink plastic sandal, half buried in silence. We keep moving. The sandal heavy in my mind like a stone in my boot. The road into Halame is a patchwork of rubble and silence. Some homes are just piles of mud and ash. Others are bizarrely intact, like time skipped them. We pass a poster still, clinging to a doorway, half-burned someone's wedding announcement. The bride smiling in that way people do when they think the future is real. We fan out, rifles ready, but there's no resistance. Just wind and the distant thrum of something, maybe a generator. Or just my heartbeat echoing in my ears. Our orders say we're to reach the West Mosque before the hour mark. It's a 5-minute walk on paper, which in military terms means 30 minutes of stop-start crawling with a side of existential dread. The sun is now high, and my sweat has turned to salt crusts on my face. Reza whistles low. You hear that? I nod. There's movement up ahead, a flicker behind a wall. Not a person too short. Maybe a goat, maybe a kid. We slow, every step. Cautious, the weight of my rifle starts to feel like it's growing. Each breath tastes like sandpaper. My boots sink slightly into the soft dust, and I imagine what it would be like if this was my last road. You know the road. Suddenly, Farhad goes stiff. On the ridge, he mutters, barely moving his lips. I turn my eyes, not my head. Just as I catch the glint of something metallic, crack, someone drops. Time warps. 1 second it's hot and slow. The next it's chaos and fast forward. The crack echoes again. A dry, clean shot from high ground. It's a sniper, has to be. We scatter. I throw myself behind a crumbled brick wall, chest heaving. Dust kicks up everywhere. The air smells like panic. Daryoush shouts orders, half swallowed by the chaos. Ridged 200 meters northwest. Farhad's lying flat on the ground, face down. He's not moving. I don't know if he's breathing. I don't know anything right now except that I'm alive. And someone up there is trying to correct that. Reza dives beside me, cursing under his breath. I told you this road had bad vibes. This isn't a ghost, I say. This guy's good. 2 shots, 0 misses. Could still be a ghost, just with a rifle. We peek over the wall in shifts, trying to spot him. The ridge is tall and rocky, perfect cover. The sniper's playing chess, and we're out here with checker pieces. Suppression fire on my mark. Dariush yells, pointing toward a cluster of rocks. 3 of us pop up and unload in bursts. The crack of gunfire bounces between the ruined buildings. Reza fires, then ducks back down. Still nothing, he growls, like shooting into fog. Ollie crawls in from the left. We need a better angle. He's dug in. Flank. Dariush shakes his head. to open. Meanwhile, the sniper keeps probing. One shot skims so close to my helmet that I swear I hear it whisper. "This guy's a phantom," I mutter. Fun fact, Reza says, while reloading, in ancient Persia, they used mirrors to blind archers during sieges. Unless you have a pocket mirror, I suggest we keep moving. We decide to advance, cautiously, crawl, stop, check, crawl, stop, curse. We try to triangulate based on the angle of the shots, but it's like trying to catch smoke. Dot then dash, miracle, dash, Reza, spots a glint again. Just for a second, he yells and points, and Dariush unloads a full clip in that direction. The ridge stirs, a black shape moves, darts behind a rock. "He's moving," I say. "We flushed him out, yeah, and now he's angry." We push forward, keeping cover tight. Ollie gets to Farhad and yanks him by the straps. "He's alive," he shouts. My stomach drops. Relief is a strange feeling in the middle of a firefight. It feels like guilt trying on a happy mask. We regroup behind an overturned fuel barrel that smells like regret. I check my canteen, empty of course. Dariush gets on the radio. "Comes are dead," he mutters. "Great. It's official. Not just being hunted. We're also alone." I glance at Reza. Still think it's just bad vibes. "Nope," he says. "I'm upgrading this to full and cursed." The sniper goes silent. Maybe repositioning. Maybe watching. The worst kind of enemy isn't the one that charges, it's the one that waits. Did I mention open academic debate? There's one about the effectiveness of snipers in modern asymmetric warfare. Some argue they're relics of a bygone era. Others claim they remain the psychological backbone of small unit terror. I now lean toward the second camp. Suddenly, Reza taps my arm. "If I die, delete my browser history." "Deal," I say. "But only if you promise not to die while being stupid." He grins. Too late. We hold the position for another 15 minutes. No shots. No movement. Silence again. And then laughter, low, exhausted, absurd. Ollie's giggling. "I swear to God," he says, "if that chicken from earlier walks past this barrel, I'm going to lose it." And somehow, we all laugh. Even me. Even with the ridge watching us. Even with the dust in our eyes and the sweat in our boots. And Farhad barely conscious. Because what else is there? You either laugh or you scream. Or both. Dragging Farhad back feels like trying to pull a sandbag that curses in slow Farsi. His leg is bleeding, but not gushing thankfully. The bullet tore through the side of his thigh and missed the bone. Probably. We don't have an X-ray machine. Just Ali's gory optimism. "You'll be fine," Ali says as he slaps a field dressing on the wound. "You'll walk with a cool limp." Girls love that. Farhad groans. Only if they also love blood and dirt. We're crouched behind what used to be a fuel tank, now rusted and hollow. Its curved metal sides are hot enough to fry an egg. Not that we have any left to test that theory. Dariush is arguing with himself in whispered curses while flipping through the pages of our patrol log. Reza's on overwatch, his scope scanning the ridge, probably wishing it would just spontaneously collapse and bury the sniper in bad karma. I peek over the edge. The ridge is quiet now. The air holds its breath. It's that uneasy stillness like the pause before thunder. The sniper's gone or waiting. Either way, we've got a wounded man and a whole lot of nowhere to go. Reza clicks his tongue. "We're sitting ducks." "Correction," I mutter. "We're tired, dehydrated, under-equipped ducks with a minor head wound and a sarcastic attitude. Still quacking though. We need to move, but moving means exposure. Crawling takes forever, and Farhad can't crawl. Not really. We rig a tarp as a makeshift sled using some rope and stubbornness. It smells like gasoline and old onion, but it works. We put Farhad on it, and I end up at the front, gripping the rope like I'm about to go sledding in hell. Dariush points. "West. Backtrack 50 meters. Cut down the irrigation ditch." What's in the ditch? Hopefully not snakes. Fun fact, Iran has over 25 species of venomous snakes. Some of them like to nap in irrigation channels. This job has no HR department. I start pulling. Sand resists everything it clutches, drags, fights back like a passive-aggressive ex. Farhad moans. I tell him to think happy thoughts. Like what? Like a cold shower and socks without holes. I forgot what socks are. Ali and Reza take turns covering the ridge with their rifles while I drag Farhad, and Dariush scouts ahead. My arms ache within minutes, and sweat drips into my eyes like lemon juice. Every few feet, we stop, check, Listen. Nothing. No. Shots. No. Movement. Just the sound of our breath and the tarp scraping like paper over concrete. Do you think the sniper's watching? Farhad whispers, maybe, or maybe he took a lunch break. Should have packed him a sandwich, a joke, a real one. I grin. That's the spirit. We finally reach the ditch. It's half filled with gravel and prickly weeds. Reza checks it first. No snakes. No surprises, so we lower Farhad in and press ourselves flat. It's not perfect cover, but it's something. At least from here we can crawl, slowly, shaded by the ditch walls. We move like worms, dragging our gear beside us, whispering updates every few meters. Suddenly, Reza hisses. Stop. We freeze. He points down a metal tripwire stretched across the ditch like a forgotten curse. Booby trap, he whispers. Ollie swears under his breath. Seriously, it's old, Reza mutters. Rusty, but still armed. We back up carefully. Rerouting through open ground isn't ideal, but losing a leg is worse. Farhad wheezes. Maybe I'll just live here now. You'd hate the neighbors. I say scorpions. Very antisocial. We edge out of the ditch and press flat behind some collapsed stonework. From here, the terrain dips slightly. Natural cover. Dariosh signals. Move again. We do, bit by bit. The sun has turned the world into a kill. My hands are red from pulling, and every few minutes I pause to stretch my back, which now feels about 70 years old. Remember when we joined for the paycheck? I mutter. Reza snorts. I remember thinking the boots were cool. They were, until the soles melted. The whole scene would be comedic if it weren't for the blood, the dust, and the very real threat that someone might still be watching us through a scope. As we crawl along a dry trench leading out of the village, I spot something half buried. A child's toy car, plastic, red and sun-bleached. Its wheels are melted. I pocket it without thinking. Maybe I'll mail it home. Maybe I'll give it to my niece and tell her it's from another planet. Ahead, Dariosh stops and waves us down. He spotted something. A shack. Old irrigation pump house. Intact roof. No signs of movement. We reach it and pile in. It smells like rust, old rubber, and goat. But there's shade. Sweet, glorious shade. Even Farhad manages a weak smile. Inside, we do triage. Farhad's wound is manageable. Ali disinfects it with a tiny bottle of iodine and wraps it in a real bandage. Not the usual sock fragment. I collapse against the wall. My shirt is soaked. My arms are jelly. But no one's bleeding new holes. That's a win. Radio Reza asks. Dariosh pulls it out. Still dead. Probably fried in the heat. He mutters. We sit there, listening to the buzzing silence. Outside, the sun begins to drop slowly, mercifully. Shadows lengthen. You know, Reza says, suddenly, in 1962, Iran trained pigeons to detect radiation. What? Yeah, didn't work. But they gave them little goggles. Ollie chuckles. Maybe we should get goggles. Not for radiation, for sand. We sit in that broken shack, laughing quietly, because laughter fills the space where fear used to be. It's a temporary fix, but it's better than nothing. For now, we're alive. For now, the sniper's gone. For now, that's enough. The door to the irrigation shack doesn't close. Dish just leans slightly inward, like it's eavesdropping on our exhaustion. We sit in a pile of gear, sweat, and barely contain sarcasm. The inside is narrow, built for tools and rust, not 5. Battered soldiers and a guy with a leg wound pretending he's fine. Outside, the sun finally gives up its assault and begins to slip down the sky like a tired god. The air cools just enough to stop burning, though the scent of dust and diesel lingers like a rude guest. Remember that old woman? Ali says quietly, the one with the bread. Yeah, she pointed at that crater without saying a word, like it was just another oven. Farhad speaks up from his tar pit. That's probably where her family died. The silence in the shack deepens. Reza lets out a long breath. You think she hates us? Does it matter? I ask. She gave us food. Pity food, Ollie says. Still food, I say, and reach into my vest for a half-melted chocolate bar I've been hoarding. I break off 4 pieces and pass them around. The 5th, I set next to Farhad, who's nodding off. You trying to get promoted to angel? Reza mutters, biting into his square. No, I say. Just trying to avoid dying with chocolate in my pocket. Seems wasteful. Dariosh is still fiddling with the radio, tapping the casing with the subtle fury of a man who'd rather throw it into a volcano. It crackles but gives no signal. Just static and the occasional squawk that might be a bird or a distant broadcast, or the ghost of another patrol trying to speak from the beyond. There's a relay station north, he says. Might be able to get a signal from there, and leave this palace of luxury, Ollie says, gesturing to our dirt floor and one broken fan blade still dangling from the ceiling. Not tonight, Dariush mutters. Tonight we lay low. Outside, the desert sings its night song, low winds, shifting sands, and somewhere in the distance, a dog barking like it's forgotten how. We rotate watch duty. I get second shift, middle of the night, when the body most craves sleep, and the brain most hallucinates, as the others fade into uneasy sleep. I step outside the shack. The sky is something else out here. No city lights. Just stars, millions of them, unbothered by our crawling and bleeding and dumb wars. It stretches above me like a giant upside-down ocean. You could fall upward into it and never hit bottom. I settle on a rock beside the shack, rifle across my lap, trying not to think about scorpions crawling up my pant leg. The desert's cooler now, but not cold. Just dry, always dry. Somewhere far off, I hear a rumble. Could be a truck, could be thunder, could be my imagination. All equally likely. Hey, Reza whispers from the doorway. You good? Yeah, just admiring the sky. He shuffles out beside me. You know what's weird? The stars look the same back home. Exactly the same. That's because they are the same. I know. Still weird. Like they're watching us make the same mistakes. Maybe they're bored. We sit in silence for a bit. The stars blinked slowly. A breeze stirs the dust. Wanna hear something freaky? Reza says. Always. You ever heard of the Zoroastrian fire temples? Sure. Pre-Islamic, eternal flames, and all that. There's one not far from Yazd, where the flame has been burning for over 1,500 years. No way. Swear on my third favorite cousin. That's oddly specific. The guy collects staplers. Very trustworthy. I chuckle. Man, we are so sleep-deprived. He nods. I once stayed up for 72 hours during training. By hour 60 I was talking to a pigeon and trying to file paperwork using leaves. I grin. Did the pigeon approve? No. Very strict. We hear a rustle, both of us tense. Rifles ready. It's just a fox. Skinny, nervous, darting between rocks. Reza lowers his weapon. Don't shoot it. Might be someone's reincarnated grandfather. I nod. Plus, we already hit our weird for the day. We head back into the shack, swapping shifts with Ollie, who grumbles like a man betrayed by life, liberty, and sleep. I lie down on my side, facing the wall, cheek on my arm. It smells like sun-baked cloth and old regrets. I close my eyes. That's when I hear it, a low rumble. Not distant, this time closer. I sit up, Dariush's eyes open. Instantly, soldier reflex. You hear that? I whisper. He nods. We all go quiet. There it is, a Gannon engine. Not one of ours. Too guttural, too fast. A truck. It fades quickly. No headlights, no dust trail, just gone. What do we do? Ali asks. Nothing yet. Dariush says. Could be smugglers, could be militia, could be nothing. But we all know that out here, nothing is rarely just nothing. We keep the rest of the night tense and silent. Each of us takes our turn staring into the dark, wondering what's out there. Wondering if tomorrow brings rescue, or firefight, or just more walking and sweat. In this job, it's never a matter of if, just when. Dawn doesn't rise so much as it creeps. A pale, indifferent light spills over the horizon, like someone spilled milk across a clay floor. The desert stirs awake with the rustle of dry weeds and the tiny shifting noises of creatures that survive by never being seen. Somewhere, a bird lets out a sound so strange and metallic, I half expect it to be a ringtone. We're already up. None of us really slept, not deeply. Farhad dozed in patches, grimacing every few minutes. Reza snored like an old washing machine, choking on a brick. I kept one ear open all night, half expecting that truck from the darkness to return. Headlights off, intentions loud. Dariush stands outside the shack, looking toward the ridge, his jaws working like he's chewing gravel. We're moving in 20, he says. Northwest. Relay station. We grunt, stretch, gear up. Farhad insists he can limp. It's the sort of proud, dumb bravery that gets people killed, but also the kind that keeps people going. Ollie gives him a stick he found leaning against the shack, like a wizard handing off a cursed staff. No spellcasting, he warns. Reza pulls out a plastic bottle filled with something cloudy. Filtered water. Sort of. I ask, well, it went through a sock, and the sock had ... personality. We sip anyway. The desert doesn't care about taste, it only cares about survival. The first hour of our hike is quiet. Too quiet, of course. But not the cinematic kind of quiet where you just know something's about to explode. No, this is the kind of silence that wears you down, makes your ears ring, makes your thoughts spiral. We pass a dry well, its stone walls choked with sand. I toss in a pebble. No sound, either bottomless or full of disappointment. You know what I miss, Reza says suddenly. Showers that don't judge you. I offer. No ice cream. Real ice cream. Not that powdered stuff we had at camp last summer. Ollie snorts. You had powdered ice cream. I got 2 boiled eggs and a pocketful of ants. Reza nods. One day, I'm opening a shop. Combat cream. Flavors based on trauma. PTSD. Pistachio. Bullet-riddled berry. Molotov mango. I add. Sniper swirl. Dariosh mutters, without turning around. We laugh too loud, too long. Because that's what humor is out here. A pressure valve. If we don't laugh, we break. And nobody here can afford to break. The landscape changes again, less rock, more scrub. The kind of land that might look friendly from a distance, but up close is all thorns and regrets. Farhad's breathing gets heavier. I stay close. Fun fact, he gasps. Iran's national flower is the red tulip. That's nice. I say it also symbolizes martyrdom. Oh, we walk in silence for a bit after that dot. Eventually, we crest a low ridge, and there it is, the relay station. A squat concrete blockhouse with a steel tower rising beside it like a skeletal palm tree. It's not large, not impressive. But in this world, it's a lighthouse. Dariosh halts us, raising a fist. We fan out, cautious, no visible movement. He waves us in. We approach, nerves tight. Rifles up, the doors slightly ajar. Inside it's dark, cool, and smells like burned plastic and batteries. The equipment is still humming, a minor miracle. There's even a battery-powered fan still twitching in a corner, like a lazy insect. Reza heads straight to the radio. Static, then cracks a voice, garbled but there. Alpha, come in, repeat. This is command base. We all exhale at once. Dariosh grabs the mic. Command, this is Echo 2. Multiple engagements. 1 wounded, comes dead for 16 hours. Requesting evac and resupply. Over the voice, crackles again. Copy that. Echo to evac in 3 hours. Mark location with flare. Sit tight. Good work. Good work. I want to laugh. It feels like being told good job after getting mauled by a bear. But remembering to floss. Still 3 hours. We slump to the floor. Farhad groans and closes his eyes. Reza high-fives, no one in particular. Outside, the wind picks up a little. Ollie checks his watch. 3 hours. Long time to sit still. It'll be fine, I say. Then dash crack. Glass explodes next to Reza's head. We drop flat. Sniper, he yells. Not again. We're pinned inside a concrete relay station in the middle of nowhere, surrounded by open land and one invisible ghost with perfect aim. I scramble to the wall, peering through a crack. A shadow shifts on the far ridge. Just a flicker. That's got to be the same guy, I mutter. Same ridge angle, same arrogance. Reza pulls his scope up. If I can just catch his shimmer. We take turns laying down suppressive fire, short bursts. Not to hit, just to disrupt. The sniper doesn't fire back. He waits. He's surgical, patient, probably enjoying this. We need to draw him out, Dariosh mutters, or bore him to death. I offer. Ali pulls out the flare. What if we launch it and bolt? He says. Evac can spot it, and we hold to the old shepherd hut we passed an hour ago. Risky, but sitting here is suicide by countdown. We vote quickly. Majority say run. Farhad groans. Guess I'll be the sled again. We ready the flare. Dariosh fires it straight into the sky. It arcs up brilliant. Red against the pale morning and explodes like a bloody firework. The sniper reacts. Another crack. Then we run. Flat. Out. Reza and I, dragging Farhad on a folded tarp, like a limp sack of potatoes, bullets chewing up the dirt behind us. We don't look back. No time. Only forward. Sand flies like powdered bone under my boots as we bolt from the relay station. Rez is on the left side of the tarp. I'm on the right, and Farhad is muttering half-conscious prayers in the middle. I can barely hear anything over the sound of my own blood roaring in my ears. But I do hear another shot crack on the dirt beside us, jumps like it just got smacked by God. He's adjusting. Reza yells, panting. No kidding, I shout back, trying not to trip on a half-buried stone that's clearly out for blood. Behind us, Dariush and Ollie are laying down suppressive fire, covering our retreat in short, controlled bursts. It's not elegant, but it's loud and makes dust fly, which might be enough to buy us seconds. Seconds mean meters. Meters mean survival. Our destination, the shepherd hut, is barely visible, a lump of dry stacked stone about 300 meters out, nestled into a slight dip in the terrain. From a distance, it could pass for a boulder. Up close, hopefully enough cover to hide behind and catch our breath without getting turned into Swiss cheese. I can't feel my hands. Reza shouts, "You don't need to feel them, just use them." The tarp snags on something, probably a thorn root, maybe the devil's shoelace, and jerks us both back. Farhad groans. Reza drops his rifle, frees the tarp, and we're moving. Again before the sniper has time to correct. 2 more shots crack overhead. Still no hits, which, ironically, terrifies me more, because either he's missing on purpose, or he's waiting for a cleaner shot. We're halfway there. My legs feel like they've been swapped for pudding and regrets. My fingers ache from gripping the rope. Sweat burns in my eyes. My helmet is sliding sideways, but I don't dare stop. Then I hear it, a whiz, so fast, so near, like a mosquito, if mosquitoes could kill you. The bullet tears through the tarp. Farhad yells, but it's just fabric. A clean pass. Almost there. I shout. We hit the hut like a wave breaking against stone, tumbling behind the wall, hearts beating out war drums. I crash against the side, wheezing, adrenaline drowning out the pain. Ollie and Dariush slide in. Seconds later, ducking behind the opposite wall. Everyone alive. Dariush gasps. Define alive. Reza mutters, face down in the dirt. Ollie grins. Nobody's leaking new holes, so I call it a win. Farhad's breathing heavy, but conscious. His wound reopened from the ride, but it's not gushing. He mumbles something about wanting tea. I pat him on the shoulder. Make it yourself when we get out of this. The hut isn't much, 3 walls, no roof, just enough shade to feel like mercy. There's a goat skull on one shelf, a rusted pot on another, and a pair of shoes no human should still be wearing. We settle in, rifles trained on the ridge. The sniper doesn't fire again. Either he can't see us, or he's changing tactics. Reza digs into his pack, pulls out a crushed date bar. Want half? I nod, and we split it like communion. You know, he says, chewing slowly. They say the oldest known recipe in Iran is for stewed lamb with leeks, like 4,000 years old. Sounds better than this, I say, holding up a crumb of dusty, sweet regret. Reza shrugs. Everything tastes better without bullets. Outside, the wind picks up, hissing through the cracked stones like it's trying to tell a secret. We sit still, too tired to talk much, just listening. Ollie takes first watch. The rest of us lie low, keeping our heads below the wall's edge. I let my eyes flutter closed for a moment, just a moment, but instead of sleep, I see her again. The old woman, that flatbread, the way she pointed at the crater, like it wasn't even a tragedy, just part of her routine. Point, turn, forget. There's something horrifying about how fast humans adapt, about how quickly horror becomes Tuesday. I think he's moved, Ali says suddenly. We perk up. Ridge is clear, no glint. Nothing's shifted in 30 minutes. Maybe he gave up, Reza offers. Or maybe he's walking around to get a better view, Dariush mutters. Ali scans the distance. Weight movement, north-northeast. Fast we all crawl up, eyes to scopes, squinting into the shimmer. Their dust trail. Faint, vehicle, small, civilian size, too far to ID. Might be evac, Reza says hopefully. Or militia. Ali says, we don't know, can't know. Not yet. What's our plan if it's hostile, I ask. Dariush sighs. Shoot until they stop moving. As plans go, it's brutally simple. I check my magazine. 1 full, 2 partials. Not bad, not good either. We wait. The vehicle disappears behind a low hill. Silence again. Then dash, boom, distant. We all flinch. Could be a tire, could be a mine, could be nothing, could be everything. You know, Reza whispers, Some researchers argue that war zones are starting to act like ecosystems, adaptive, reactive, self-sustaining. That's comforting, I reply. We're not just soldiers, we're endangered species. Ollie chuckles. Speak for yourself. I plan to outlive this planet. We'll build you a statue, Reza says, made entirely of spent shell casings outside the desert, continues doing what it does best, waiting, outlasting us, watching a vulture circles overhead. Just one dot. They always know something we don't. The heat comes back before the fear fades. It creeps in slowly, like it's testing us, then settles with full weight by mid-morning. The shade offered by our three-walled hut isn't doing much now. The air inside tastes like metal and resentment. We don't move much, not because we're safe, but because movement requires energy we don't have. Farhad's dozing again. His legs stopped bleeding, but the bandage is stained a deep, angry brown. Ali checks it every 20 minutes with the tenderness of someone who swears he doesn't care, but secretly does. Reza's tracing something into the dirt with the butt of his knife. It looks like a cartoon camel riding a missile. Name it, I say. He doesn't look up. Boris. That's not very Persian. He's a freelance camel. Goes where he wants. I nod. Respect. Across from us, Dariosh finally puts down the radio. Nothing. There's still 30 clicks out, maybe more. He stands, stretches. His back cracks loud enough to make a crow in the distance fly off in protest. Time to move, he says. What? I blink. Where? There's a dry riverbed west of here. Runs through a ravine. Better cover. Easier to defend. Evac will spot us easier from there. What about Fahad? Ali asks. He rides again. Reza groans and grabs the tarp. I swear, he says, if I die hauling this guy around, I'm haunting him. We gear up. The plan is simple. We move fast, stay low, and hope the sniper's still asleep or watching Netflix in a cave somewhere. I take point with Ollie eyes, scanning the rocks, the scrub, every patch of ground that looks like it might blink. The terrain changes quickly. Less sand, more rock. The wind shifts to cooler now, and carrying the faint smell of something unexpected. Smoke. Do you smell that? I ask. Ollie nods. Someone's cooking. Could be shepherds. Could be trouble. We pick up the pace. The hut vanishes behind us. Farhad bounces gently on the tarp, like a sack of rice with a mustache. Then we see it. Over the next rise, nestled in a hollow between boulders, 3 figures, huddled around a tiny fire. Not soldiers, not militia, just men, civilian clothes. One's stirring something in a tin pot, another's smoking. A third is praying, face to the ground. Stop, Dariush says. We crouch, civilians. Reza whispers, maybe smugglers, maybe militia scouts. Hard to tell until they start shooting. What do we do? I ask. Dariush chews his lip. We go around. He signals left, wide arc. Stay low. We obey, half crawling over sharp rocks and weeds that scratch like angry cats. Every step away from the path feels risky, but passing by them directly, that's asking for a plot twist. We're halfway around when the wind shifts again. The man with the cigarette looks up. Our eyes meet. He stands, slowly, doesn't reach for a weapon, just raises a hand palm out. Universal gesture, for I see you, and I'm not shooting. We freeze. He says something, Arabic, not Farsi. I catch one word, Musafir, traveler. Ali speaks Arabic. He straightens slightly, calls back, peace, we're just passing. The man nods, says something else. Then he points at the pot, taps his stomach. Food, he's offering us food. We hesitate. Dariush shakes his head. No time, keep moving. I nod, but something inside me pulls back. That look in the man's eyes, tired.com, maybe sad, not afraid, not angry, just human. We turn away. I glance back once. The man's already kneeling again, sipping from a tin cup. The fire crackling quietly like it's never even noticed us. The moment passes, we enter the riverbed. It's dry, cracked but wide, and sunken, good visibility. A natural cover on both sides. We drop Farhad into a small depression, give him some water, fan his face with a map that hasn't been accurate since the 90s. Reza collapses beside him. Heaviest guy I've ever met. I think he's made of bricks. Love you too, Farhad croaks. Ali laughs. I sit down on a slab of stone, still warm from the sun, and take off my helmet for the first time in hours. The breeze is cool, kind, almost enough to feel like mercy. We've earned a break. Even Dariush sits down, rifle across his knees. You think evac will actually show? I ask him. He shrugs. If not, we'll walk again wherever we can. That's war logic. Don't think more than one step ahead. Just move. Reza fishes something out of his vest. A photo, worn and creased. Who's that? I ask my mum. He says. She wanted me to be a dentist. Still time. He shakes his head. Too many teeth here already. Ali pulls out a canteen, takes a sip, offers it to me. The water's hot, but wet. I take 2 gulps. It tastes like rust and hope. You know, Reza says, in 1930, Iran had a camel postal service. I raise an eyebrow. Totally real. Camels carrying mail across the desert. And I thought we had bad logistics. We laugh. Even Farhad cracks a grin. The sun starts its descent again. Long shadows stretch across the ravine. We hear a sound. WHUP-WHUP-WHUP. Distant. Low. Helicopter. We scramble up the ridge to spot it. Yes, dust kicking up on the horizon. A fat, familiar silhouette crawling across the sky like a promise kept late. Evac finally. The sound gets louder. Deeper whop whop. Whops. The chopper crests the ridge blades, punching the sky in slow, powerful circles. Every part of me unclenches. I hadn't even realized how tight I'd been wound until now, until hope started. Throwing dust in the air, Reza stands next to me on the ridge, one arm raised, waving like we're welcoming a parade float. That better be ours, he says. Or I'm going to be so mad I come back as a vulture. Ali scans the hull. Iranian markings. It's one of ours. I love everything about this moment, I mutter, shielding my face from the swirl of wind and grit. The chopper dips lower, nose forward like it's sniffing for us. The blades scream over the desert as it slows into a hover, just above a relatively flat stretch of ground nearby. Dariush signals us to stay back until it fully lands. We huddle close in the riverbed, wind kicking up around us like some dramatic movie entrance. The pilot's definitely leaning into the whole last-minute rescue theme. Reza yells over the noise. You know this is going to be the highlight of Farhad's dating stories. Farhad, surprisingly lucid, raises an eyebrow. It already was before the chopper. The skids touch down with a rough bounce. 2 soldiers jump out, rifles up, scanning standard procedure. Dariush jogs toward them, gesturing back at us, talking quickly. They nod. One of them disappears back into the chopper and re-emerges with a collapsible stretcher that we carry Farhad together, all 5 of us. He's trying not to groan, but every bump sends a fresh wince across his face. I'm fine, he mutters. Just a scratch. It's not a scratch when you leave a piece of your leg behind, Ollie says, steadying the stretcher. Think they'll give me a medal? Farhad asks. Reza snorts. For being heavy, definitely. We lift him into the bird. Inside, it's cramped, hot, and smells like oil and victory. One of the medics checks Farhad's vitals, while we collapse onto the bench seats like deflated footballs. Dariush climbs in last, slamming the door shut behind him. The pilot gives a thumbs up. Whoop whoop whoop. The ground begins to fall away. We lift. Just like that. Halame fades behind us. Just another cluster of bones and bricks and unsaid things. The desert shrinks below. The world softens. The edges blur. We pass over the shepherd's fire from earlier. The men down there don't even look up. Maybe they can't hear us. Maybe they're used to birds of war flying overhead without stopping. As the chopper climbs, Reza taps me on the knee and leans close. You ever wonder how we ended up in this? This helicopter? No, this, everything. I glance out. The window. The horizon is flat and endless. Like the world couldn't think of how to end the story, so it just kept drawing sand. Sometimes, I say, but mostly, I just think about lunch. Reza laughs, loud and sudden. The medic him, keep your voice down. He's trying to stabilize. Reza salutes. Of course, silence, for our patient. Brave and noble Farhad, survivor of pointy rocks and mediocre jokes. Farhad gives him a thumbs up from the stretcher. The medic injects something into arm. His face softens. The pain slides off him like butter off a hot pan. Ollie watches the medic work and murmurs, he's gonna be okay. And for once, that doesn't sound like a lie. I lean back against the vibrating wall. The seat's hard, the helmet's heavy, but the weight of survival, that hits different. We fly over more open land, no signs of towns, villages, or roads. Just scars on the earth from old tracks, old lives. I wonder how many stories are buried out there. How many sandals, like the one by the crater. How many names nobody will say again. We're lucky, Dariush says, almost too quietly to hear. Define lucky. I reply, we could have been ghosts in Halame. I nod. He's right. There's a kind of strange math out here where alive equals lucky, even if you're covered in dust, bruised, and haven't eaten anything that didn't taste like cardboard. An existential dread. You know, Reza says, I read this thing once. Apparently, if you drop a gecko from a helicopter, it can survive the fall. I turn to him. Why would you drop a gecko from a helicopter? Science. Ollie groans. No more science. My brain has already evacuated. I close my eyes for a minute. I picture my sister's house, her kitchen, a kettle on the stove, her little girl laughing at something that doesn't deserve laughter. I let the image hover. Then the chopper bumps. Hard. We jolt. Pilot's voice crackles through. Hold on. Minor turbulence. Some wind shears off the ridgeline. Everyone braces instinctively. We've all learned comfort never lasts long. Even peace comes with a seatbelt warning. But nothing happens. The ride evens out. The world calms again. I let my breath out slowly. You know what's strange? Reza says after a while. What, this might have been one of the best days of my life. I open one eye. You got heat stroke? No, I mean it. We didn't die. We saw stuff. Saved a friend. He even got a ride. That's like a solid B+. He leans back with a goofy grin. And somehow, I get it. Because in war, joy isn't loud. It's not parties or parades. It's a shared candy bar in a dusty trench. It's a laugh that feels stolen from something bigger. It's walking away when you know you might not have. And yeah, it's a ride out of nowhere when you least expect it. We land like a falling cupboard. The skids slam into the ground with a solid thump, kicking up a fresh cloud of dust that curls into the cabin like it's trying to hitch a ride. The moment the rotors slow, everything feels heavier, like our bodies finally realize they don't need to stay tense anymore and sag under their own weight. The doors slide open. The air outside is cooler, not nice, cool, just not murderous. A small forward operating base, barely more than a couple of prefab buildings and a tower with one sad flag, sprawls across a flat patch of desert like someone spilled Lego bricks and gave up halfway through organizing them. 2 medics are waiting at the landing zone. Real medics. Clean gloves, stretchers with wheels, that kind of luxury. They pull Farhad gently from the bird. He's out cold, mouth slightly open. One of the medics smiles at us. He'll be okay. It's the first thing someone's said to us all day that isn't sarcastic or shouted over a gun. Reza salutes dramatically. Take good care of our boy. He carries the nation's sarcasm. The medic raises an eyebrow. We'll preserve it carefully. Ollie watches the stretcher roll away. He's gonna hate the hospital food. I nod, but he'll love the bed. A corporal leads us to the debriefing tent. It's dim, air-conditioned and smells like rubber flooring and black coffee. A major is already waiting inside, uniform to clean, hair to perfect. His name tag reads Karimi, and his eyes scan us like he's filing mental folders. Your echo too, he says. Yes, sir, Dariush replies. He gestures toward the seats. Sit, talk. So we sit, we talk. We tell him about the route, the old woman, the sniper, the relay station, the riverbed, about Farhad, about the top, about the fire in the distance, about the helicopter that came right when we thought maybe it wouldn't. Karimi scribbles notes with a real pen. He asks questions, nods in places that don't need nodding, and never once says good job. When we're done, he closes his notebook and says, you'll stay here for 2 days. Clean up, resupply, then rotate back to Central Post. That's it, Reza asks. Karimi looks at him. You wanted a parade? No, sir, Reza says. Maybe just a snack. You'll find the mess tent to your left. Dismissed. We leave. The mess tent is a big canvas oven with long metal tables and industrial fans that sound like dying whales. But the food is actually hot. Stew rice, even a tomato slice. I nearly cry into my tray. We sit together, shoveling food into our mouths like it might vanish. You know what I miss? Reza says between bites. Soft bread. You just had bread, Ollie replies. That wasn't soft. That was structural. I liked it. I say you also liked that canned eggplant we found last month. Exactly. Perspective. After the meal, we get assigned bunks. I get a lower one, this time's more victories. The sheets smell like bleach. The pillow is lumpy, but real. I lie down, boots off, toes wiggling in semi-freedom. Reza's on the bunk above. I hear him shifting, sighing, muttering to himself. Then, you ever feel like the war keeps happening even when you leave it? I don't answer right away. The light above us hums quietly. Somewhere, a generator coughs. Yeah, I say finally. Sometimes I think it keeps happening, especially. Then, he rolls over. You think Farhad will come back? Maybe, if the food gets worse. We both laugh, and then we don't, because we're tired, really, really tired, and the quiet doesn't feel safe. It just feels postponed. Sleep comes, but not easily. My dreams are strange, not nightmares, just loud. I see flashes of desert roads, the old woman, the pink sandal, the ridge, a vulture circling. Then my niece, laughing, holding up the toy car I picked up near the crater. You brought this for me, she asks. Yeah, I whisper in the dream. It's from a place where the ground remembers things. She doesn't answer. She just hugs me. When I wake up, it's still dark. The bass is silent. The only sound is breathing. Mine, Reza's, and a few others I don't know. Strangers with the same look in their eyes. Strangers who also made it back. For now, I stare at the ceiling, tracing cracks in the plaster. Like constellations. There's one shaped like a boot. One shaped like a bird. One shaped like a rifle. You awake, Reza whispers. Yeah, can't sleep. Me neither. A long pause. You know, people say war changes you, he says softly. They're not wrong. I just thought I'd turn into something cooler. I laugh, quiet, short. We're alive. I say yeah, that's cool enough. He doesn't answer, but I hear his breathing slow. Eventually, mine does too. Outside the desert sleeps, at least for now. By morning, my whole body feels like it was left out in the sun and then stuffed back into uniform. Just for fun, we wake to the sound of someone outside shouting about a missing boot. Classic bass morning. The kind of chaos that somehow feels safer than silence. Safer than walking on ridgelines with invisible eyes watching. Ollie's already up, sitting on his bunk with a plastic spoon and a tiny tub of yogurt like it's a Michelin star meal. This, he says, is the breakfast of survivors. Reza rolls over and squints at him. That yogurt expired before Farhad enlisted. He'll never know, Ollie says with a shrug and another scoop. Dariosh walks in with news. Command wants us to do a checkpoint walk today. Nothing long, just presence. You mean PR? Reza groans. Presence, Dariosh repeats. Reassure civilians. Smile. Try not to look like we just dragged each other through hell. Too late for that. My face looked like it lost a fight with a sandstorm and came in second place. Still, we gear up. New magazines, fresh water, cleaned rifles. It's amazing how quickly your body forgets exhaustion when routine kicks in, like it never left. We take a truck this time. Actual seats, an actual roof, and suspension that doesn't double as spinal punishment. The road is a dusty line stretching toward the low hills to the east where a small checkpoint post monitors a village road and the movement of anyone with more than a bicycle. The truck rumbles along, shaking slightly over every bump. Someone in the back is humming a tune I don't recognize. Might be a lullaby, might be from a commercial. Either way, it feels oddly soothing. You know, Reza says, there's a theory that silence after battle is more damaging than the battle itself. That a real theory, I ask, or another camel story? No, this one's from a French psychologist. Still could be a camel story. We all chuckle, but there's truth in it. You spend hours in chaos, heart pounding, waiting for the next bang, then it stops. But your body doesn't. It just keeps vibrating, like a bell no one asked to ring. The checkpoint post is just a metal gate and two prefab huts with camouflage netting strung over them. One soldier stands out front, smoking like the world depends on it. He nods as we roll up, flicks the cigarette, and salutes lazily. Nothing much today. He says, some farmers passed through. One goat gave me attitude. Ollie hops out first. Did you file a report? We've been watching an old pickup circling the hills, though, the soldier adds. Dariosh frowns. Same one each time. Hard to tell. White body, rusted tailgate, roof dented like it got into an argument with a satellite. Stay alert, Dariosh says. Might be a scout. We walk the perimeter. The village nearby looks quiet, smoke curling from a few chimneys, some kids playing with a tire down a dusty alley. The smell of cooked onions floats on the breeze, making my stomach wake up all over again. A woman waves at us from a rooftop where she's hanging laundry. She holds up a plastic bottle filled with water and Mime's drink. Ollie waves back, smiling. No thanks. We're hydrated, kind of. It's strange this quiet feels different than Halame. Not broken, just cautious. We pass a small grocery stand. The owner sits beneath an umbrella, peeling a pomegranate with a knife so dull it might be symbolic. He watches us. Doesn't smile, doesn't frown. Just watches. Reza mutters. He's trying to decide if we're customers or trouble. Ali walks over and buys a packet of sunflower seeds, drops a few coins on the counter. No words are exchanged, but the man nods once, slow. Back at the checkpoint, the conversation's picked up about the pickup truck. Someone claims it's just a shepherd going to check water tanks. Someone else says he's seen the same truck in 2 different provinces days apart. Could be smuggling, Dariush says. Could be ghosts. Reza offers. A ghost truck with haunted taillights. Ollie sighs. We need to ban you from ghost stories. We take a break under the netting. The shade helps, but barely. Someone hands around a thermos of lukewarm tea that tastes like it was brewed in a radiator. Still, we drink, because that's what we do. No matter how terrible the taste, you drink. You sit. You talk. You wait for the next thing. Then pop, pop, dot. Distant gunfire. Everyone freezes. It came from the North Ridge. A few bursts, then silence again. The checkpoint goes alert. Weapons up, radios on. Dariush grabs the receiver. This is Echo 2 at Ridge Post 7. Gunfire reported. North Ridge, awaiting instructions. A crackle. Then Echo to confirm status. Any injuries? None on our end. Investigating now. Reza already has his rifle up, eyes locked on the hills. We fan out along the checkpoint edge, scanning. Nothing moves. Not a bird. Not a blade of grass. Could have been celebratory fire. Someone mutters. Could have been warning shots. Or worse. Bait. I adjust my grip on my rifle. My hands are sweating again. Ollie's eyes meet mine. No words. Just a shared tension. That buzz of something's coming. Or maybe not. Maybe it already came and left before we noticed. After 15 minutes, command calls back. No confirmed contact in the area. Stay alert. Hold position. We nod, though no one's heart rate comes down. Eventually, the sun starts to lower. We're told to return to base, rest, debrief tomorrow. Back in the truck, the mood is quiet, not tired, just pulled inward. Like everyone's mind is still back there, listening for another pop. Reza breaks the silence, voice dry. Did you know parrots in Iran are trained to recite poetry for customers at flower stalls? I blink. Poetry, parrots, yup, hoffers with feathers. Ollie chuckles. That's the most peaceful thing I've heard all week. As the truck bounces along the road, the checkpoint vanishing behind us, I lean my head against the metal wall and close my eyes, even without a shot fired. The day feels long because sometimes silence takes more out of you than battle. I get the first watch that night. The base is quieter than usual, like the day spent its energy pretending everything was fine, and now it's resting its lies. The stars above are ridiculous, too sharp, like someone overdid the clarity slider. They hang in the sky with the confidence of something that doesn't care whether you're alive or not. I sit on a concrete ledge near the perimeter fence, rifle across my lap, eyes scanning the dark ridge. The wind's picked up just enough to whisper through the wire and make the tower creak softly every few minutes. It's not cold, but it isn't hot anymore either. That in-between zone where even your sweat decides to take a nap. Reza walks up behind me with a quiet step. He's off shift, but sleep never sticks with him on the first night back from patrol. Couldn't sleep, he says, handing me a thermos. Mint tea, kind of. I take it. Sip. It tastes like someone boiled a sock with a single mint leaf, and then apologized. Thanks, I say anyway. He plops down next to me, back against the wall. You ever get that thing? He says. Where? You close your eyes, and your brain just replays every time someone almost died. Every night, I reply. He chuckles. Yeah, me too. We sit in silence for a while. Not the awkward kind, the soldier kind. The kind where words would ruin whatever understanding is already there. Then he says, what if that gunfire today wasn't random? You mean not celebratory? Yeah, What if someone was testing how long it'd take us to respond? I look at him. He doesn't look like he's joking. I mean, we're not that important. I say maybe not. He shrugs. But if I were planning something, I'd test the perimeter first. Find the rhythm. I sip more tea. It's colder now. And somehow, that thought sticks with me more than the actual gunfire did. The moon hangs low, barely clearing the hilltops. Its light washes the rocks in a pale glow that makes everything look like it belongs in a dream. Sharp edges, long shadows, that weird silence where time feels paused. Then I hear something, a soft rustle, too slow for wind, too heavy for a rat. Reza hears it too. We both rise, rifles lifted, eyes scanning. Nothing. We wait. Still nothing. He sighs. Probably the goat again. Which goat? The angry one from the checkpoint. I think it followed us back. I grin. Vengeful goat. Definitely militia. We return to our seats. My shift drags on, slow and sticky. Reza eventually wanders off, hands in his pockets, back to his bunk like a ghost that decided haunting can wait till sunrise. With him gone, the world feels bigger, and I feel like a smaller dot inside it. The stars don't move. They just watch. I think about home, my sister's apartment, the smell of soap and fabric softener, my niece drawing pictures with crayons she always breaks on purpose because she likes the stubby ones. The way my mum makes tea like she's performing a ceremony passed down from an ancient order of patient grandmothers. I miss all of it in a way I can't say out loud. I miss it in the way my fingers twitch when I sleep, reaching for nothing during the watch. I think I doze off with my eyes open, not asleep just ... disconnected. Like a screensaver on a tired computer. It's only when Ollie taps my shoulder gently that I snap back. Your shift's up, he whispers. Go grab some dreams. I nod and hand him the thermos. Mint tea, I warn. He sniffs it. Mint. In my bunk, the pillow feels like a brick wrapped in nostalgia. But I fall asleep fast, and I dream weird. I'm walking through a market where everything is being sold in camouflage bananas, carpets, even fish oil in desert camo. Reza is behind a stall, shouting, "Buy your trauma on discount." Farhad walks by on crutches made of rifle barrels. The old woman from Halamek offers me bread that turns to sand in my hands. And in the sky above, that same pink sandal from the crater, floating like a satellite. I wake up sweating. It's still dark, still quiet, except something, a whisper of movement outside, not inside the base, but close, too far to be casual, too near to ignore. I sit up slowly. My heart's already decided it's morning. I'm fully awake before my boots hit the floor. No alarms, no shouting, just that primal tingle in the back of my neck that says something's off. Like how the air shifts before a storm, or the way a sentence pauses just before someone confesses. Something big. The base is asleep. Mostly, a few silhouettes move quietly near the communications hut. One guy yawning so wide, I swear I can hear it from here. But outside the fence, something's stirring. I grab my rifle and step out into the open, trying to make it look casual, like I'm just a soldier out for a thoughtful moonlit stretch. Nothing says target like a guy sprinting with his rifle and panic painted on his face. Ollie spots me from the tower ladder, halfway through his own night watch. "You good?" he calls down. "Maybe," I say. "You see anything weird? Movement outside the perimeter?" He leans over, scans the landscape. Just a dog, 10 minutes ago. Trotted past the west fence like it had an appointment. I nod, but I'm not convinced. I start a slow lap around the outer edge, eyes bouncing between the shadows and the stars. Halfway through the circuit, I catch it. A shimmer, not lights, just a shape, a silhouette, low to the ground, darting from one rock to another near the south ridge. Too fast for an animal, too intentional. I freeze, lift my scope. Nothing. I blink and scan again. Still nothing, but the adrenaline's already here now, pacing in circles inside my chest. I radio Ali, South Ridge, one figure, moving low. Might be recon. Copy want me to alert Dariush. No, not yet. I keep my position, watching, waiting. Then dash another movement, just a flicker, not where I expected. Closer, I bring my rifle to my shoulder, breath slowing. My finger rests near the trigger knot on it. Not yet, just in that liminal space between potential and consequence. Ollie's voice crackles in my earpiece. "We've got infrared. You want eyes?" "Yes." A beat later, okay. There's something. He's quiet for a second too long. What kind of something? I ask. Heat signature. Just one, maybe 100 meters out. Can't tell if it's human. Now I'm officially alert. Any gear? Hard to tell. Not big enough for a full pack. Moving like a runner. Runner? Yeah, someone who knows they shouldn't be there but also knows they've got 10 seconds to vanish. Wonderful. I stay crouched behind a half wall that circles the generator unit. The base is quiet behind me, glowing faintly under a few floodlights, but outside, it's storybook black. Not even moonlight now, just deep, honest, dark dot, then dash, snap, dot, a twig, dot, too close. I spin, someone's there, but before I can react, don't shoot. A voice, low, tight. In Farsi I raise my weapon, but don't fire. Hands up. A figure steps into the light. Small, thin, dirty scarf wrapped around the lower half of his face. Hands trembling in the air. Don't shoot, he repeats. I step closer. Who are you? He lowers his scarf. He's a teenager. Maybe 15, maybe less. Eyes too old, skin too dusty. Like he's been walking through nightmares for weeks. My brother, he says. Breath ragged. He's hurt down there. In the ditch. Ollie's already climbing down from the tower, radioing someone. Dariosh, probably. I signal the kid to stay where he is. You're not armed, I ask. No, where's your village? He shakes his head. Not from here. We walked a long time. Someone said this was safe. That someone might have been right. Or they might have wanted to send him into range just to see if we'd bite. Dariosh arrives with another soldier. He sizes up the boy, listens to the story, then nods. Take 2. Check the ditch, he says. If this is real, we bring them in. If it's a trap, he doesn't finish dot. I go with Ali, rifle ready, but pointed down. The kid leads us across, open ground, toward a narrow drainage channel that runs parallel to the outer fence. We find the brother, barely older dot, shot in the side. Clean wound, still bleeding, but not deep. He's conscious, but pale. Bandits, the boy says. They robbed us, said we were spies. Ali curses under his breath and starts checking the wound. We get them both back to base. No incident, no sniper, no tricks. They're just kids, running from something that caught up halfway and tried to finish the job. The medics take the older brother. The younger sits on the bench outside the tent, hands in his lap, not moving, not blinking. I sit beside him. We don't speak. There's nothing to say. Not really. He's seen more than I have, and I've seen enough. Eventually, Reza wanders. Over, he's holding 2 cups of powdered cocoa that somehow survived rations from 1997. He hands one to the boy. Drink this. Tastes like cardboard, but it's warm. The boy takes it, sips, then says, do all soldiers stay awake like this? Reza tilts his head. Only the ones still trying to figure out how they made it this far. That night, I don't go back to sleep. I sit under the stars until dawn turns. The sky from black to bruise. The ridge never speaks again, but it doesn't need to. I heard enough. The next morning, nobody talks much at breakfast. Not because we're tired though, we are, but because the quiet has settled into us. Like dust in our gear, it gets in the folds of your mind and refuses to be brushed off. The boy and his brother are still here. The older ones in the med tent, stitched up and sleeping like the dead. The younger sits cross-legged near the outer fence, chewing on a ration bar with slow, deliberate bites. Like it might be the last food he trusts. Reza walks up with 2 cups of tea, actual hot tea this time. Thanks to someone discovering a stash of gas canisters and a dented kettle in the supply tent. He hands me one and plops down on the crate beside me. I ask the kid where he's from, Reza says, and just said, not from here. That narrows it down. Reza shrugs. He said the only thing he remembers from there, last village, was the color of the sky when it burned. I sip the tea. It's bitter and scalding. Perfect. Ali joins us with his canteen, flops into the sand like a man twice his age. You hear what command said? No. They want us to run recon, see where the boys came from, try to identify the militia group operating out there. Of course they do. Reza leans back, stares up at the sky. You ever notice how the military always wants you to go where the problems are, but never just go to the beach instead? Believe it or not, I reply, they didn't issue us a beach. The mission is simple, which means it's probably not. We'll take 2 vehicles, 5 soldiers per, and follow the riverbed east toward the direction the boys came from. There's a village out there, no name, just a dot on the map that command thinks might be their origin. If it's clear, we bring back intel. If it's not, well, that's why they send us. We gear up again. My boots feel heavier. My rifle feels like it knows more than I do. Dariush rides with the lead vehicle, while Reza, Ali, and I get stuffed in the second, bouncing along with a driver who talks to the engine like it's his cousin. We pass open deserts, scorched bushes, bones, we hope, then the occasional burned-out husk of a car. Life stops in these places like it got distracted and never came back. You know, Reza says, jolting with the truck, in ancient Persia, they believed your soul had to cross a bridge after death. The Chinvet Bridge. I say yeah. If you lived a good life, it was wide and safe. If you were a jerk, it turned into a razor. Great Ali mutters. We're driving on a metaphor. After about an hour, the first village appears. Or what's left of it. Half a dozen mud brick structures stand half collapsed. One has a wall painted blue, sun-faded and flaking. It might have been a shop once, maybe. Someone sold spices or sandals, or stories. Now it's hollow. We dismount, fan out, quiet to quiet. Obviously, Dariush signals for us to check interiors. I enter the nearest home. Dust, sand, a broken kettle in the corner. A child's drawing, half buried under the rubble. It shows two stick figures, a sun, and a house with no roof. I pocket it. I don't know why. Outside, Rez has found something. Footprints, he says. Recent boots. Nope, bare feet. The trail leads to a nearby hill. We follow, slowly. Rifles raised, every sense sharpened like knives used too many times. At the top of the rise, we spot it. A small campsite. Tarp rigged over a rock. Empty cans. A kettle. No people, but signs. Someone's been here. Recently. Then, Reza says, we're being watched. I freeze, where he gestures with a twitch of his eyes downhill. Behind a boulder, maybe 20 meters away, I see it. A glint. The unmistakable roundness of an eye behind a scope. Sniper. Again. Back, I hiss. We duck low, retreat behind the crest of the hill. He didn't shoot, Ali mutters. Yet, Dariush calls it in. Don't engage. We're out of position. We move wide, circle, and exfil before we give them a reason. We obey. Cautiously, we move wide around the camp, using the terrain as cover. Every rock becomes a friend, every shadow a possible trap. The footprints follow us part of the way, then vanish into the sand, like ghosts. We return to the vehicles, backtracking slow and deliberate. The sniper doesn't fire. Maybe he didn't care. Maybe he was waiting for someone else. Back at base, the boys are still there. The older one is awake now, sitting up with a bandage on his side and a faraway look that says he's already lived 3 more lives than he should have. I hand the younger brother the drawing I found. He stares at it. Then he smiles tiny, unsure, but real. That's ours, he says softly. I nod. You know, Reza says later. Sitting with me under the tower, the thing about ghosts. They don't wear sheets. They wear sand. And we sit in silence, as the wind carries whispers we'll never understand. We get the call just after sundown. A civilian convoy is heading toward our Sector 3 trucks. A battered minivan, and a small escort detail trying to reach a humanitarian supply station before nightfall. They're requesting support through a stretch of contested terrain nicknamed the Funnel. Because, naturally, everything good in war is named after a kitchen appliance. Dariush briefs us fast. They're behind schedule. We meet them at Junction Bravo, ride alongside them past the funnel, and hand them off to the next checkpoint. Should be 2 hours, tops. Should be, Reza mutters, already strapping into his gear. I reload, check my optics, and adjust the strap on my helmet, which now smells permanently like stress and old tea. We roll out in 2 Humvees just as the last of the orange light drains from the horizon. The desert at twilight is weird so. Still, you feel like you're walking through a photograph, except the shadows are moving just a bit too much. Ollie hums softly in the seat next to me. Some tune I have recognized from a movie or a dream. Probably both. We reach Junction Bravo right on time. The convoy appears minutes later, slow and clunky. 2 flatbeds stacked with crates, a truck covered in mismatched tarps, and the van chugging along like it's being held together by duct tape and good intentions. The drivers nod at us as we join the escort. Civilians, one's wearing flip-flops, another has a walkie-talkie duct-taped to his shoulder like a patch job of professionalism. Reza taps my shoulder. You know the rule, right? What? The one about convoys. If it's quiet for the first 20 minutes, it won't stay that way. Exactly. We move into the funnel. It's a narrow pass, low ridges on either side. Broken. Buildings on the outskirts. Perfect ambush country. You could lose a tank in the shadows if it blinked too long. We're eyes up, weapons out. Nothing moves. The convoy groans forward like it knows what's coming. Then dash crack. Glass explodes from the lead truck. The driver jerks, slams into the side of the road. Ambush. Automatic fire erupts from the ridge. Contact right. Darius shouts. Everything dissolves into noise. We bail from the Humvee. Take cover behind the nearest boulder. Reza's already returning fire. Ollie's dragging the wounded driver out of the cab, blood streaking down his arm like paint. I scan the ridge. 3 figures, maybe 4, ducking behind rocks, firing in bursts. I fire back. 1 drops, maybe. I can't tell if he's down or just ducking. Civilians scatter, diving from the trucks, yelling in panic. The minivan stalls halfway through the road and blocks half the convoy. Move it, someone yells. I see. One of the crates tumble from a flatbed, splits open. Inside, rice. Dozens of tiny plastic bags of rice scatter like snow. This is what we're protecting. I duck. Reload. Peek. One of the shooters is moving, trying to flank. I tag him twice. He spins, falls, no movement. Ali gets the wounded driver into cover and throws a pressure wrap on his shoulder. Still breathing, he shouts, in and out, better than most of my relationships. Reza yells back, laying down suppressive fire. A rocket-propelled grenade screams overhead, misses the minivan by a meter, slams into the sand behind us. Dirt erupts into the sky. My ears ring. I shout, but I can't hear my own voice. Then I feel the tug. Something hot slices across my side. Not deep, but real. I drop behind the boulder, breathing hard. Blood soaks into my vest, slowly, stickily. It smells like iron and dirt. Hit. Reza yells, sliding beside me. Just a graze. I grunt. Side of the ribs, barely missed my good lung. Let me see. No time. We push forward. The return fire starts to thin out. One shooter breaks and runs. We track him, as far as the rocks allow. Then lose him in the dark. Minutes pass. Then silence. We hold still. Rifles raised. Silence holds. Then Darius signals. Clear. We sweep the ridge. 2 bodies. 1 weapon left behind. A cell phone with a cracked screen and a paused game of Snake still on it. Reza picks it up. Imagine dying while playing Snake. Ancient curses. Ollie finishes checking the convoy. 1 civilian wounded, not critical. Everyone else shaken but alive. We get the minivan back on the road. The convoy limps forward. We stay with them another 20 minutes, just in case. The handoff at the next checkpoint is quick. One of the civilians walks up to us, young guy, probably 20, eyes wide like he just saw the afterlife and decided he wasn't ready. Thank you, he says in perfect English. I nod. Next time, don't drive into the funnel after sunset. He laughs once, just once, then climbs into his truck like it might vanish if he waits too long. We ride back in silence. At base, I peel off my vest and wince. The graze isn't too bad. Looks dramatic. Feels dramatic. But I'll live. Ollie gives me a fresh wrap. You sure? You don't want to put in for med leave? I'm fine. You sure? Yeah, if I leave, Reza will start writing poetry again. Reza, walking by with a bandage on his forehead, nods solemnly. Already rhymed ambush with crushed lunch. It's happening. I laugh. It hurts, but I laugh anyway. Back at base, the night is thick and quiet, too quiet. The kind that presses on your eardrums and dares you to make a sound. I'm still in my dusty uniform, sitting against the wall outside the barracks. A clean wrap around my ribs and a bottle of warm water in my hand that tastes vaguely like rubber and regret. Inside, I can hear someone snoring. It might be Reza. It might be a truck parked too close to the wall. Ali joins me, holding 2 crackers in one hand and an open packet of something that might have once been cheese. They say pain builds character, he says, offering me one. Of the crackers, I already have enough character, I mutter, taking it anyway. We chew in silence. Still thinking about the convoy, he asks. I nod. It was textbook, ambush, return, fire, stabilize, extract, but something didn't feel right. The shooters weren't militia regulars. No uniforms, no insignia, just ragged clothes, improvised gear, old weapons, desperation. Ollie reads my face. They looked hungry. I know, he sighs. But hungry with RPG. We both know how that plays out. Sometimes the line between enemy and neighbor is a haircut and 2 missed meals. Dariosh steps out of the operations tent, rubbing his forehead like he's trying to erase the map burned into his skull. He nods to us, then speaks. We're redeploying in 48 hours. Ollie blinks. Where? Far west. Mountain Pass, near De Sala. They lost 2 patrols this week. I look at him. Lost as in one came back, the others still being counted. Reza appears out of nowhere, holding a cup of something steaming. I knew this tea was too good. Something bad always follows decent tea. We gather around a folding table. Dariosh spreads a new map across it. The terrain's worse than before. Narrow switchbacks, caves, blind turns, and ambushes dream. The local village is said to be neutral, but no one's sure if that means uninvolved or hiding something. Command wants a Reekman force, a polite way of saying, poke it and see if it bites. We'll be part of a mixed unit team, about 20 men. Light vehicles only, no air cover unless we call in fire support. No choppers, I ask, too risky. The wind there eats rotors for breakfast. We're quiet for a moment. Then Reza says, you ever notice how these missions always sound? Like a camping trip planned by your worst ex. We prep through the next day, clean gear, check supplies, share whatever info we can dig up from past patrol logs. Not much. The last unit that passed through left behind a half-burned field report and 2 hand-drawn maps, one of which was labeled "Here be trouble" with an arrow pointing to the cliffs. Reassuring. That evening, the cook surprises us with something borderline luxurious. Lamb stew. Real lamb. Or something convincingly lamagicent. I mop up the last of it with a triangle of flatbread and sigh. This is definitely our last meal before something explodes. Ollie raises his tin cup. To all the limbs we still have. Reza raises his, too, to the body parts we'll miss the most. I raise mine, to surviving just long enough to wish we didn't have to do it again. The next morning we're back on the move. The trucks creak and rumble over rocks that feel like they resent our tires. I sit in the back of the lead vehicle, scanning the cliffs as they rise around us, steep, cracked, like God tried to fold the land and gave up halfway. We reach a plateau near the pass around noon. The sun's directly overhead, making everything flat and blinding. Our boots crunch over pebbles as we fan out and sweep the area. Nothing, no gunfire, no locals, no signs of life. Just an old metal sign, half rusted, that once said welcome in 3 languages. Reza pokes it with his boot. It's the multilingual silence that gets me. Ollie kneels near a pile of stones. Something's there. A shoe. Worn. Children's size. We go still. Tracks, Dariosh says, pointing farther up the slope. Small, fresh. We follow them, slow and tight. The path narrows between 2 boulders, then opens into a basin with a view that would be gorgeous if it didn't feel so deadly. Then we see it, smoke, thin, grey, curling upward from behind the rocks. We inch closer, voices low, murmuring, not expecting company. We peer over the ridge. 6 figures, around a fire, weapons nearby, not in hands, just resting. They don't see us, and for a moment, just one, I think we could walk away. They haven't fired. They haven't seen us. No one's bleeding, but orders are orders. I glance at Dariosh. He doesn't speak. He just signals. Move in. We do, fast, clean, shouting first. Hands down, down. It's chaos. One man dives. Another grabs a rifle. Pop, pop. We fire. To go down. One wounded, one not getting up. The others freeze. Hands raised. Civilians, militants. Who knows? Does it matter? We cuff them. Check for IDs. Nothing solid. One carries a notebook full of radio frequencies. Another has a photo of a little girl folded in his wallet. Reza breathes hard beside me. They were making tea. I nod. Next time, he says, let's let the tea finish. We sit in the basin, surrounded by boulders and silence. The fire the men built still smolders, just faint orange embers now, crackling like an argument that never really ended. The smoke rises slow and bitter, curling through the dry mountain air like a question no one wants to answer. The 2 surviving detainees are sitting a few meters away, wrists zip-tied, backs against a rock. One of them keeps his eyes on the ground. The other stares at us blank, unmoving, but not afraid. That's the worst part. No fear, just calculation. Dariush is on the radio, calling in an extraction team. Says the detainees might be scouts, might be smugglers, might be part of the ambush group from 2 weeks ago. He doesn't say might be innocent, but I hear it in the pause between sentences. Ali's pacing. His hands twitch sometimes when he's on edge, just little movements, like his fingers are trying to press buttons that aren't there. Reza's crouched beside me, scribbling something in a tiny notebook he keeps in his vest. I peek at the page.alist, 22, down to zip tied, 1 kettle 0, answers he catches me looking, just keeping score. He mutters, not of who's winning, just of what we've lost. You missed the jokes. I say yeah. He nods. Even the bad ones. I shift my weight, feel the dull ache from the graze on my side still, humming under the bandage. It's like the wound sulking. Not bad enough to get sympathy, not small enough to ignore. Dariush finishes on the radio. Pick up in 90 minutes, he says. We hold position. Ali stops pacing. That's 90 minutes with no cover. There's boulders, Dariush says. There's vultures too, Reza mutters, pointing to one circling overhead. We reposition to widen our view, take turns watching the pass. The lights changing, sun lowering behind the cliffs, shadows stretching like long fingers. Time slows. Reza breaks the silence. Did you know there's an ancient Persian belief that a man who dies in the mountains carries the wind with him forever? Ali squints. You just make that up. Reza shrugs. If I say it confidently enough, it becomes folklore. I grin. If I die here, I want someone to name a stray dog after me, preferably one with mange and a limp. Done. Reza says, I'll feed it rice and your leftover socks. We fall quiet again. Then one of the detainees speaks. His voice is low, hoarse, and in broken Farsi. We were looking for water. Dariush turns, and the weapons. The man shrugs. There are wolves here. No one laughs. We weren't going to shoot. He adds, you grabbed your rifle. Ali says flatly. He doesn't answer that. The other man finally lifts his eyes. Younger, maybe our age. He looks at me not with anger, not with fear, just tired. You're not from here, he says. No, I reply. You'll leave. We'll still be here. I don't say anything, because he's right. He lowers his head again. We just wanted to eat. We trade. That's all. My brother. He glances toward the body near the fire. He carried salt. We checked the packs again. Salt, dried figs, a little bag of opium, too common enough in these parts. Sadly, trade. Yes, but trade with whom? Militants, smugglers, or just villagers? Trying to survive. Context dies quickly in war. All that's left is the moment, the flash, the choice, the trigger. A crow lands near the body, pecks once, then hops away. Reza waves it off with a rock that doesn't even come close. I hate that sound, he mutters. What sound? Wings. Right after something ends. The evac finally arrives. 2 jeeps, a truck with a metal cage for detainees, and a squad of fresh-faced soldiers who look at us like we're from another planet. They load the 2 survivors into the truck. Careful but not gentle. One of them makes eye contact with me as they drive off. Not a glare, not a plea, just a flat, lingering look that feels like a sentence I'll never translate. We ride back in the same silence we left with. No one talks on the way. The road winds along the mountain, hugging cliffs and echoing with the low hum of our engines. Below us, the valley stretches out dusty and red, dotted with patches of green clinging to whatever water still hides under the surface. As we descend, Reza finally speaks. You think we did the right thing? Dariush doesn't look at him. We followed orders. That's not the question I asked. Ollie exhales. It never is. Back at base, we debrief, fill out forms, list items recovered, weapons, contraband. Salt. Reza adds kettle to his form just to see if anyone reads it. No one does. Later, under the stars again, I sit with my back to the barracks wall and try to write something down. Anything. A memory, a name, a joke. But all that comes out is a sentence I can't finish. I fold the page and tuck it into my vest. Ollie walks by, nods once. No words. Reza lingers longer. You know, he says, next time we should just bring tea and talk first. I nod. But next time. There's no guarantee there is a next time. The next day is ... quiet. Not the dangerous kind. Not the heavy pre-storm tension we've grown used to, just quiet. The type that settles into your bones like lukewarm water. The sun is out, but not boiling. The wind isn't biting. And for once, nobody's shooting at us. I find myself sitting on an overturned crate outside the Cum's tent, watching a lizard sun itself on a sandbag. It's completely still, smug almost, like it knows it belongs here more than we ever will. Reza down next to me with a sigh that sounds like it's been aging in his lungs since birth. He has a piece of dried mango between his teeth. Do you remember what day it is? He asks. I blink. Tuesday, no, like the actual date, I think. Feo shrugged. At some point in the last 2 months, my birthday probably happened. He nods, chewing. Mine too. Happy birthday, I guess. Happy birthday. We sit in silence again, except for the chewing. Then Ollie walks up, holding a folded paper in his hand like it might explode if he handles it wrong. Mail call. He says that gets us to sit up. He hands me a single envelope. It's crumpled and smudged, but unmistakably from my sister. I recognize her handwriting immediately, big loopy letters, like she's always writing to someone younger than she is. I open it with dusty fingers. Inside is a short letter and a photo. The letter talks about my niece, how she started crawling faster than the dog, how she tried to eat a shoe, how she made up her own word for milk and now shouts it at pigeons. She ends it with, "Come back soon. I want her to know your face before she learns the word goodbye." My chest tightens. I flip the photo over it. My niece, wide-eyed and smiling, sitting in a laundry basket like it's a chariot. On her head, one of my old army caps, oversized, floppy, adorable. Let me guess, Reza says. Photo of a child being cuter than the entire unit combined. Pretty much. Ali leans over to look. Oh man, you're doomed. You're never going to win an argument against that face. Never even gonna try. I tuck the letter back into my vest pocket, right next to the drawing I found in that ruined house a few days ago. The one of the sun and the stick people, and the roofless home. 2 drawings from 2 worlds, and I'm in the middle. Later, I head to the armory to clean my rifle. It's a quiet ritual brush. Swab, reassemble. The parts clink together like pieces of a puzzle you've memorized, but still, check twice just to be sure. While I'm finishing up, the quartermaster walks in, a box in hand. New supplies, he says. Ammo, medkits, and, miracle of miracles, coffee. Real coffee. Ground beans, not the powdered tragedy we usually get. That night, we brew a pot over a tiny propane burner like it's an ancient ceremony. The whole squad gathers, cups in hand. Eyes brighter than they've been in weeks. It's bitter, harsh, burnt, but it's real. Reza raises his cup. 2 things that smell like home. We toast quietly. Dariush walks by and pauses, sniffing the air. Is that ... Coffee. We offer him a cup. He takes it with a small nod and doesn't say thank you, but we see it anyway. Later, I sit outside again, this time under a sky choked with stars. I lean back against the warm concrete wall, sip my second cup, and close my eyes for a while. And then, because war has a sense of timing, like an unpaid theater actor, an alarm goes off. Short, sharp, repeating. Everyone jumps. Reza drops his cup. We scramble. Gear, vests, weapons. Heart rates spike before our boots even hit the ground. A drone has spotted movement near the edge of the western perimeter. Not hostile yet, but there's a heat signature, a shape, maybe a vehicle, maybe someone walking. We fan out into the dark. The ground crunches beneath us, loose gravel and brittle twigs. My rifle's already warm from my hands. I flick on the night vision scope. A silhouette. Walking slow, alone. We signal. No response. We signal again. Still no response. Ali shouts. Stop. Identify yourself. Nothing. Just steps. Measured. Unhurried. I brace for the worst. My finger brushes the trigger guard. Everything feels like it's folding inward. Then a hand goes up. A flashlight clicks on Dot. It's a woman, old, wrapped in a shawl, carrying a white bundle. Everyone lowers their weapons at once, but doesn't breathe. She walks to the fence and stops. No words. Just slowly lifts the bundle and sets it gently. On the ground, we approach cautiously. Reza's the first to reach it. He kneels, unwraps the cloth. Inside. Food, flatbread, dates, a small bottle of water, a gift. We all stand there, stunned. She says nothing, just nods once, turns, and walks back into the dark. Did that just happen? Ollie whispers. Reza's still kneeling. That ... was a peace offering. Derek says nothing, just signals us back. We bring the food inside. It's barely enough for 2 people, but it feels heavier than the crates we unloaded last week. Back at the barracks, Reza sets the bread on a table like it's sacred. No jokes tonight, he says softly. This means something, and we nod because it does. The next morning no one speaks until the tea is brewed. It's not a rule, it's just what happens. After the offering last night, the whole base feels ... slower, softer, like the desert. Took a breath and forgot to exhale. We sit in a loose circle on the cement stoop outside the barracks. Reza's got a small folding radio crackling in the background, some old Iranian ballad warbling through static like a ghost, singing in the next room over. Ali's using his bayonet to shave the calluses off his thumb. I'm just watching the steam from my tin mug curl into the air and vanish like it was never there. She was just walking. I finally say, through all that, Ollie nods. Could have been a setup. Could have been anything, but it wasn't. Reza mutters. It was kindness, or guilt, or just an old woman being braver than all of us put together. No one argues. Later, that day, we're sent to resupply the watchtowers on the North Ridge, a task so routine it's almost offensive. 3 of us, 2 backpacks full of canned goods and batteries, and a slow trudge up switchbacks that zigzag between sunburnt rocks and scrubby trees, too stubborn to die. The path gives us a view of everything: base, hills, valleys. If you squint hard enough, you can even make out the riverbed we dragged Farhad through. Seems like a decade ago now. You think he's okay? Ali asks, adjusting the strap on his pack. He texted me, Reza says, grinning. Said the nurses love his limp. Ali laughs. Of course he did. We reached the tower mid-afternoon. The guy on duty looks like he's halfway through turning into a cactus. Sunburned, silent, and radiating the type of calm you only get after 2 weeks with no direct human contact. We hand him his supplies and sit with him for a while. Drink his awful instant coffee. Watch through his long-range scope. Nothing moves out there, but that nothing somehow feels watched. You know, Reza says, there's a Persian myth about a guardian who watches from the hills. Not a man, not a beast, just a pair of eyes in the mountain. Great, I mutter. Now I'm not blinking again for the next hour. Reza shrugs. Maybe that's what she was last night. The old woman. Yeah, maybe she's the eyes. Maybe she watches us, not the other way around. I look through the scope again. Nothing but the hairs on my neck disagree. We hike back as the sun starts to dip, painting the sky in bruised orange and dusty lavender. The desert has moods, and this one feels ... forgiving. Until the radio squawks echo to standby. We have a situation. East Road, civilian convoy under fire. Reza groans. I knew the desert was luring us in with colors. We spin on our heels, detour toward the motor pool. Within minutes, we're bouncing down the East Road in the back of a Humvee, boots stomping over gear, helmets half-strapped, adrenaline back like it never left. The convoy's just ahead, 3 cars. One flipped on its side, smoke curling from under the hood. Civilians huddled behind it, pinned. Bullets ring off metal. Sand spurts where rounds strike. We're engaging, Dariosh says. And we do. Return fire from behind the truck. Reza slides into cover beside me, breathing hard, eyes already scanning. For movement, I catch a glimpse of the attackers, 3 of them, maybe 4, using a rusted trailer as cover about 50 meters out. Ollie lobs a smoke grenade. It hisses. Blooms. We shift. Pop. I fire. Hit one in the leg. He goes down with a yell. The others scatter, brief chaos, then quiet. Again. We sweep in pairs. No one left behind. 1 attacker down, unconscious. 2 gone. 1 body near the back, probably civilian, already stiff. Reza checks pulses. Ollie checks. Ammo. We secure the civilians, 2 women, 1 man, 1 crying child clinging to a tattered backpack. Inside the bag, a toy, a stuffed fox, missing 1 eye. The girl doesn't speak, just clutches it, staring at the smoke. I kneel beside her, offer her a piece of candy I've had in my vest for weeks. She takes it without blinking. Later, we escort them back. The girl's hand never leaves the fox. She never says a word, but as we reach the edge of the base, she looks up at me and smiles. Tiny, crooked, real. Reza sees it. Well, he says, that counts. That counts for what? For 1 reason, to come back. We logged the report. 1 attacker captured, 1 civilian dead, 3 alive. No friendly casualties. No one celebrates. That night, I take out the photo of my niece again. I hold it up next to the fox, and I wonder what kind of world are we leaving them. But then, I remember the bread, the letter, the smile, and I think ... maybe we're not leaving it behind. Maybe we're building it. One tiny, stubborn, bloodied piece at a time. The day we rotate out, there's no ceremony, no fanfare, no speeches, not even a decent breakfast. Just a list on a clipboard, a truck idling with the keys already in it, and one corporal muttering directions with all the enthusiasm of a man reading shampoo ingredients. We pack up quickly. Our gear's already halfway ready. We stopped pretending to unpack 3 weeks ago. Everything we own smells like old canvas and burnt adrenaline. I stuffed the last of my letters into my vest pocket, including my niece's photo and the drawing. From Halameti, the corners are worn now, edges curling like the war itself tried to chew on them. Reza slaps the side of the truck before climbing in. Shotgun Ali groans. "You're not even going to fight me for it." Reza grins. "Nope, I've been psychologically occupying this seat for days." Dariush climbs in last, nods once at the driver, and we're off. The road back is long and crooked, a spine of gravel that snakes through nowhere. Along the way, we pass places we recognize not by name, but by memory. The ridge where we lost Farhad's blood, the bend where the kid brought us bread, the scorched patch where the convoy nearly became a headline. They blur past the windows like scenes in a dream that you're not sure you lived or imagined. I lean my head against the window. The glass vibrates softly with the engine's hum. "Think we made a difference?" Ollie asks suddenly, his voice low, but not quiet. No one answers right away. Then Reza says, "You remember that old woman?" "Which one? The one with the bread, or the tea, or the fox?" "Doesn't matter. All of them." Yeah, I think we did diff, not for the war, then maybe for them." Dariush, who hasn't spoken in an hour, finally adds, "Some wars you fight with bullets, some you fight by not becoming the thing you fear." Silence settles back in, not heavy, dust settled. We reach the transport depot by sundown. We turn in our weapons. We sign forms. We are not given medals. We are not asked how we feel. We are, however, given fresh boots. That's something. The barracks here are nicer, not by much, but enough to notice. Real beds, pillows that don't feel like body armor, a mess hall with actual seasoning. That night, I shower until the water runs cold, and still, it doesn't wash it all off. In my bunk, I stare at the ceiling, which is smooth and painted and unremarkable, but I trace stories on it anyway, shapes, paths, patterns. My mind refuses to shut down, still waiting for the next crack, the next command, the next moment someone says go, but no one does. I pull out the photo of my niece. She's wearing that oversized cap. Her smile looks like she's about to tell a joke she doesn't understand yet. I stare at it for a long time. Then, finally, I write back. Not a report, not a confession, just a short letter. "I'm here, I saw things. I'll tell you when you're older. But I kept your photo in my vest, next to my heartbeat. It reminded me that people are more than politics, that smiles are stronger than snipers, and that even in places where everything burns, sometimes someone still bakes bread." I seal the envelope and slide it under my pillow. Reza walks by, sees me, writing poetry again, something like that. He yawns and throws himself onto his bunk. "Don't forget debriefs in the morning." Yeah, I say after that, "We're civilians again." I nod, but I don't believe it, because once you've walked the ridges, shared silence under sniper fire, laughed with your hands still shaking, and carried another man's weight through the sand, ... you're never just a civilian again. You're changed, but not lost. That night, I finally sleep. No nightmares, just the sound of wind brushing the tent, just the echo of laughter, just the smile of a child with a one-eyed fox. Tonight, you walked in my boots, you stood beneath stars, too sharp to believe, dragged your breath through sandstorms that didn't care if you were right or wrong. You felt the weight of the rifle, the silence before a shot, and the strange beauty of a laugh shared beside a bullet-riddled truck. You didn't just hear war, you heard through it, the distant crack of a rifle, the hiss of tea on a fire, the rustle of fabric, as someone handed you bread, not because she had to, but because she could. You carried a wounded friend across open ground. You read letters stained with sweat. You met fear without invitation, and kindness without a script. You saw how, in places where language breaks down, small gestures become entire languages. You met ghosts, some in the dirt, some walking beside you, some behind your own eyes, and you learned that surviving isn't always about luck. Sometimes it's about remembering, about holding on to something fragile, ridiculous, and deeply human in the middle of all that chaos, like a drawing of a stick-figure house with no roof, or a photo of a niece in a laundry basket. Or the last date in your vest pocket. Now, the night is quiet, and wherever you are, I hope you turn off the lights, take a deep breath, and let this story fall behind your eyes like dust settling after a long storm. You made it through. You came back, even if just in your imagination, even if just for